are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
What's happening, football fans? It is time to steer the line.
Touchdown!
With your host, Loud Esmond and Jeremy James. For the best takes in NFL and football betting, fantasy football, and the latest news, get ready to steer the line.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Steer the Line. I'm your host, Christian Giordani, today, and with me is, well, no one. It's just me today. Our beloved Loud Esmond. He's gone on a plane trip right now. He should be landing about around 5:30. He might make the second half of the show if we're lucky. And then we have our my dear father. He's on a trip right now, driving all the way through, so he's not unfortunately not going to make it. And then Jeremy James, he's on a cruise, hoping to have a good time with a margarita in his hand or something fun. But welcome to Steer the Line, where you get your weekly NFL news, your fantasy help, and betting tips. So first things first, let's just jump right into it. The NFL has started in a crazy, crazy week already. It's week 10, but the most important thing, I believe what's happened this past week is happening off the field. A DC lawsuit might end Dan Snyder's tenure as Commanders owner, and it could bring someone in the NFL with really high power down with him, you know. Dan Snyder was sued this Thursday by a District of Columbia Attorney General, Carl Racin, for allegedly covering up decades of abuse, sexual assault, sexual misconduct, and sexual harassment inside his team. In an unexpected twist, Snyder had company in the 45-page complaint. The NFL and the commissioner, Roger Goodell, were named as co-defendants in the complaint alongside Snyder, which basically means in a nutshell, Racin, which is the attorney general for the District of Columbia, is alleging that Snyder was covering his misdeeds, and Goodell, the NFL commissioner, along with other organizations in the NFL, were covering up for Snyder. What this means for the NFL, I have no idea. I have no idea what it's going to do to the Players Association, the Owners Association, if Roger Goodell is going to keep his job, if it forces Dan Snyder's hand to sell the team like immediately. I don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to be insane. But while all this was going on, in mid-October of last month, on October 13th to be exact, Dan Snyder said he believes he has enough dirt on other NFL owners and Roger Goodell to, quote-unquote, blow up the league. That's a very bold thing to say if you're Dan Snyder. You are potentially threatening 30 other people who would in high power with a lot of money, and the NFL and Roger Goodell, the commissioner, with a lot of hearsay and dirt. That can mean a lot of things. I don't know what's going to lead to in the NFL. I'm very excited to see how this goes. I am waiting for this to break down. But Snyder also said, and privately, according to ESPN reporters and Bleacher Report, which are very credible sources, that the NFL can't F with me. Bold man. The NFL still hasn't come out with a statement regarding all these accusations, but is expected to do so if the investigation furthers. Now, we all know the league's been trying to push Dan to sell the team for a while now, and they're looking for potential buyers for him already, even though he hasn't put in any paperwork to sell the team yet. Dan already has a long rap sheet of being a bad owner. The players talk about it very often. The people in the organization talk about it very often. Other owners talk about it very often. So they're very mad with him right now because of a situation that happened directly from this accusation. Players were furious with him after bringing up the shooting of his rookie running back, Brian Robinson, on the primitive response to the District of Columbia Attorneys General. That's a terrible thing to do for your organization, and it's a terrible way to get your team on your side. A spokesperson for the Washington Commanders, who spoke on Snyder's behalf, pushed back the Attorney General's possible announcement, in doing so to refer to Robinson, who in August was shot twice in the right leg during a robbery attempt in D.C. at a restaurant. And on quote, it says, less than 3 months ago, a 23-year-old player on our team was shot multiple times in broad daylight. Despite the out-of-control violent crimes in D.C. today, the Washington Commanders learned from the first time on Twitter that D.C. Attorney General will be holding a press conference to make a major announcement about the team. This was the day prior, which was Wednesday. But this entire thing, whether it was from Dan directly or from the PR team, it backfired. It was a poor attempt for them to switch the blame on the attorney general for a high crime rate, which caused Robinson's shooting to happen. Terrible logic from terrible people. I don't think it works. Even their quarterback, Taylor Heineke, is saying it's a little bit frustrating that they can't control this. And they feel like it's a weekly thing that happens all the time, but all they can do is play ball. And unquote, he said he's tired of Snyder. When your quarterback says he's tired of you and doesn't want you owning the team anymore, there's a problem. The NFL either has to deal with it or Snyder's going to get off the foot, get cleared off or something. But this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out for the next few months, for the next few weeks, to see if he gets anything like that on top of him. Now, I know this is a betting show, and we help you with our betting odds. But before we get into this week's betting odds, I want to do a little recap of last week. Last week, the Eagles going to Houston to just beat up on the Texans, how we all expected. I knew Philadelphia was going to come in and beat them. The Patriots stomped on the Colts 26-3, which was a great game if you guys didn't catch it. That rookie for the Patriots was going off. The Lions beat the Packers, and that's what I said was going to happen last week, and I'm damn proud I said the Lions were going to win that game. Chargers beat the Falcons by 3 points, and God, what a game. Atlanta was in that game for almost the entirety of it. But LA came out with the win. The Jets, the Green Slime, beat the Buffalo Bills. I believe Loud had the Jets winning this game, while the rest of us had the Bills. So shouts out to you, Loud. And then the Vikings and the Commanders, a lot closer game than I thought it was going to be. But Minnesota is going off, and they're one of the best teams in the NFC, right behind the Eagles. The Bengals and Joe Mixon with 5 touchdowns, which is a franchise record, stomp on the Carolina Panthers for a score of 42-21. What a game. I think we all picked the Bengals in that game, and it was a great game to watch. The Raiders, that was me and my dad and Jeremy. We all picked the Raiders to win this game. And Lou came out on top with Jacksonville winning. The Dolphins sneaked by the Bears 35-32. So that's a sad one. Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith, the future MVP of this league, is continuing their win streak. They beat the Cardinals 31-21, and it was just an amazing, amazing game. And amazing from Geno Smith, even though he didn't throw a touchdown that entire game. And here's the game I'm regretting to talk about. My LA Rams go to Tampa Bay, and it looks like a great game. LA's winning the game. They're going back and forth. And on the last drive of the game, the GOAT, Tom Brady, went out and killed my Rams. He did a great job just going through this entire offense. He was picking them apart piece by piece, and it was very interesting to see. The Chiefs and the Titans, I was at Topgolf watching this game. It was really, really fun. Patrick Mahomes came back, I believe, from 9 points down in the fourth quarter. So what a game by him, and Travis Kelce went all the way up the Titans' defense. And the Ravens beat on the Saints. I think we all knew that was going to happen, and that was going to be really interesting to happen. And this last Thursday game, Carolina beat the Falcons. I didn't expect that. I thought the Falcons were going to beat the Panthers in this game. I thought Drake London was going to have a game of his career, or of his young rookie career at least. It was going to be really interesting to see how it turned out. But now we have next week's picks. And the Seattle Seahawks go into Tampa Bay. And if you asked me this a week ago, I would have said Seattle would have just torched through these guys. I would have said, Geno Smith's going off. DK Metcalf is having a career year. Tyler Lockett has just come out of nowhere and blossomed into this all-Pro Bowl player, But the way Tom Brady came back in that game last week, or Sunday, I would say, I would not bet against Tom Brady for the remainder of the season. He's on a mission. He's accepting everything that's happening in his personal life. He's putting it all behind his head. And then now he's just putting the team on his back, lacing up his cleats, and marching down the field. I have the Bucks covering the -2.5 spread on this game. I'm really interested to see how they do. It's going to be such a fun game, even though both of their defenses aren't the best in the league. It's going to be really high scoring. It's going to be really entertaining. So keep an eye on that game. I have the Bucks winning this one and covering the spread. The Houston Texans are 5.5-point underdogs going into the New York Giants. Who would have thought New York was like this good in the beginning of the season? Not me. I love Daniel Dimes. Saquon was my favorite running back when I opened the league, aside from Todd Gurley. And this guy's just going to be killing it with Daniel Jones. And I'm going to talk more on the Giants later today. But Houston goes into New York, -5.5. I have the Giants torching these guys. The Broncos, who are the worst team in the red zone by percentage, by efficiency, and by rating. Ranked 30th in, I believe 30th in NFL red zone rating and completion percentage in the red zone. Terrible. But they go to Tennessee, who are 2.5 favorites in this game. I don't know how Broncos run defense is. I didn't do my homework good enough on these guys. But I truly think they're not going to be able to stop Derrick Henry, even though he hasn't had the best season of his career. Ryan Tannehill's probably going to be gone out unless Malik Willis is starting again this game. It's going to be really interesting to see how this game turns out. If it was at home, I would probably take Denver in this game. But since they're going to go with Tennessee, I'll give them the slight edge and have Tennessee win by a field goal covering the spread. The Detroit Lions, with my former quarterback Jared Goff, are going to Chicago, who are 3-point favorites. I think this is the first time in the entire season that I can remember, at least, that the Chicago Bears are favorite to win this game. It's going to be really interesting to see how they go at it. I know they got Chase Claypool, and he's going to be, a little bit more efficient since he's going to be the number one option on that team, obviously, with the pieces they have around him. And I just don't trust Justin Fields good enough. It's not that Chase Claypool's like a bad receiver or anything. Can Justin Fields hit him on the run? Can he hit him on those slants, on those little hook routes? I know the Lions defense is one of the worst in the league. I think it might be the worst in the league, maybe behind the Bears. But it's going to be a high-scoring game for the Lions, at least. I think they're going to blow open the Chicago Bears defense. I think they did lose T.J. Hawkinson, but they still have that rookie running back who's just tearing up the entire league. Jared Goff, when he throws it downfield, he hits people in stride. And he's just an amazing deep thrower. I wish they utilized him more like that in the offense. He's such a good quarterback, and people don't get it because he lost that Super Bowl against the Patriots as a Ram, and they got dished off to Detroit, and a lot of people are already brushing him off. Don't brush him off quite yet. I don't think he wins a championship in Detroit, but if he goes to a different team who's already ready, maybe like Minnesota or maybe Tennessee, I think he could really switch up his pace and be a better quarterback than he is right now. The Cleveland Browns are going to Miami, who are 3.5 favorites at home. Cleveland has been mediocre this entire season. They haven't been terrible, but they haven't been the best either. Jacoby Brissett has been a decent quarterback. He's what I thought Geno Smith was going to be this year. Just okay at best, but Tua's back from injury. He showed us that he still can ball out after being hit like that last week. And I got them covering the spread and winning this game. I'm not going to say by a giant margin, but this is going to be really interesting to see. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, they're going to be, maybe both have 300-yard games this game because Cleveland's secondary is mediocre at best, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle do great on catch percentages past 35 yards, and Tua's percentages number throwing past 35 yards have gotten way better this season than previous seasons. So I'm very, very interested to see how it goes. Look for those deep passes. Look for those deep runs. And the play action is going to play a lot into this game. So take a look out for that. And while I have this on, it's 49.5 points over under. I usually don't like going over that many points, but I would say go over 49.5 for this game. And this is what I think is going to be the game of the week. A lot of people are brushing off Minnesota as fake contenders, like how we say for the Eagles. Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league, without a question. I'm sorry, Cooper. I'm sorry, Devontae. I'm sorry, all these Stephon. You guys are great, but Justin Jefferson's just on a different planet this season. And I think the guy right behind him is Stephon Diggs, who they're playing against in Buffalo. Now, they're both used to the cold weather. Minnesota and Buffalo are both cold as heck. But it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys go back and forth with each other. And Kirk Cousins, obviously, the lesser quarterback than Josh Allen. But Josh Allen got beat by the Jets last week, and it's going to be a hard loss to come back from. I still have the Bills winning this game. I don't know, by 3 points. I definitely don't have them going over 42.5 with these two defenses. It's going to be very, very interesting. The Bills have probably the second best secondary defense. Yeah, they're ranked second right behind Green Bay. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how these teams play out. I like Minnesota covering the spread, but Buffalo winning this game. And then Jacksonville comes to Kansas City. This is an easy one. I'm not going to talk much about it. Trevor Lawrence is great. I think next year they're going to be really deadly with Calvin Ridley. But Kansas City just owns this team. I think they're going to just, smack them around. It's a 9.5 point spread. I don't like spreads that big in my opinion, but I do like Kansas City covering this win. And it's an Arrowhead. It's really hard for Jacksonville to win this game, in my opinion. I am so intrigued to see how this team goes and how back and forth it's going to be. But I don't think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be a slaughter. So I have the Kansas City Chiefs minus 9.5 points against Jacksonville. And now the New Orleans Saints are going to Pittsburgh. This is the one game I'm going to leave alone. Do not take my betting advice at all. I'm not following these two teams very closely. I know TJ Watt is still out, I believe. Alvin Kamara might not be available this game. It's going to be very interesting. But I do want to see I'm going to take the pick and have New Orleans win this game. I'm not going to say anything about the spread. I'm not going to say anything about over the under. Just New Orleans winning straight out. Now we have the Indianapolis Colts versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I keep betting on the Raiders, and they keep on disappointing me. I should start listening to Loud more often. I know that's something I don't like to say, but Loud, you've been picking them right recently. So off what he was talking about this morning, I'm going to go Colts 4.5 to cover the spread and possibly win this game. But I do think Chandler Jones and Max Crosby are just going to have a field day with these guys. I don't think Matt Ryan leads the league in fumbles. And Max Crosby, I believe, is third in forced fumbles this year amongst long linebackers. So it's going to be really interesting to see if that offensive line can contain those two guys. And if they can get through the run, the passing would help out. So if Jonathan Taylor runs for 100 yards, this game is out of the book, which should be already. And here's the Arizona Cardinals going to LA to play my Rams. We've had a very bad losing streak recently. It's been back and forth a lot. I know we're a sub 500 team, and it's been really hard for me to watch NFL football when your team sucks. But I'm not really worried about the Cardinals. They're one of the worser teams in the NFL, where a lot of people thought they were going to be great. They thought they were going to come back and be Super Bowl contenders. And I get D-Hop's back, and it's going to make Kyler Murray a lot more efficient quarterback. I remember saying in the offseason that Kyler Murray's pass percentages go from 70% to 75%. From 65% to 75% when DeAndre Hopkins is in the lineup. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this turns out. But I have the Rams winning and covering the spread. I think Allen Robinson finally has his first big game as a Ram. He hasn't had like that moment where he just shines and has the game. He leads it in yards. He gets the touchdown. He's clutch. And he's a good player. I think he just needs to find the right stride between him and Matthew. It takes some time. It took Matthew and OBJ about 3 or 4 games to get into it. It's going to take Allen Robinson a little bit more. So we're going to find out how this goes. But I have the Rams minus 3.5 in this game. And the over 40 and a half. I say take the under in this game. The Dallas Cowboys go play Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. The Cowboys are 4.5 favorites. I like the Cowboys a lot in this game. Micah Parsons is in the top 10 for MVP voting. I really do like him a lot in this lineup, and I like him matching up against Green Bay's offensive line, even though they're one of the more higher middle offensive lines in the league, according to advanced sabermetrics. But I don't know how I feel about Dak Prescott starting. I still love Cooper Rush there. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that take. It's just that he's such a good quarterback. He's so efficient, and he's a field general, and that's kind of what Dallas needs. They don't need an all-star or a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think they need more like a field general type of guy to pace the offense, let the run game do what they do, and then throw the ball when he's open. Dak's going to try to make that bigger play to extend the game or extend the lead or try to get back into it. and he has more turnovers over yardage than Cooper Rush does. So that's the stat I really do look for in quarterbacks, and Cooper Rush is the better quarterback in my opinion. So I have Dallas winning this game, covering the spread -4.5. Green Bay's just been sucky. They've been terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. I get a lot of people are saying Rodgers hasn't clicked with that young core yet. He hasn't been, much of a leader with these guys. No, he's not him anymore. It's sad to say, but Aaron Rodgers is past his prime. Green Bay overpaid for him. I get he has no receiver help. Alan Lazard, and then Green Bay did nothing during the trade deadline. I know they're trying to save up for OBJ. I don't think that's the smartest option. I think the best thing you could have done right now, if you were invested in winning a championship, was start to trade for some high quality receivers above OBJ. I'm not saying OBJ is not a top receiver. I think he's top 15, maybe top 20, top 15. But he's off an injury. He's off an injury. He hasn't played in almost a year. I think the best thing they could have done was traded for pieces, and they didn't. So expect Green Bay to lose a lot more games for the remainder of the season. Dallas -4.5. And then the Chargers go into San Francisco to play my rival 49ers. I'm very excited to see how this goes. I know I've been saying that about a lot of these games, but this is a really good lineup this week. A lot of people have been downplaying the Chargers. I know they had some rough games. Their record should be a little bit better than it is. But Justin Herbert's been playing on broken ribs. I believe Keenan Allen has been going in and out with injury all the time. Khalil Mack has been a beast, though. Joey Bosa has been injured for some time as well. But I do like them a lot in this matchup against San Francisco. I get San Francisco just got Christian McCaffrey, and he's a beast. I think he's a top 5 running back. I really like him in the system in San Francisco. But I don't know, man. I really do like the Chargers a lot. It's hard for me to bet for San Francisco just because they're my arch nemesis. So if you don't want to take my word on this game, I don't blame you at all. But I really do like Justin Herbert. His offensive rating against San Francisco in the only career game, I believe was a preseason game. He diced them up. I get it was the preseason, but that's just the numbers I have behind him. And I do like Justin Herbert a lot in this game. He does very good against Tampa 2 defenses, and that's what San Francisco runs. So it's going to be interesting how he goes against it. And I'm sorry, not JC Jackson. Keenan Allen should have a monster game this game. The Commanders come play the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football, -10.5 points. I like to stay away from 10.5 points, so I'm going to. Philadelphia is undefeated. I do think that's mainly to their schedule. They played 2 playoff teams, maybe 3 on fringe. But -10.5 is too big of a point spread for me. I like the Washington Commanders covering the spread, but Philadelphia is definitely going to win this game. I don't see Taylor Heineke or what's his name that got cut by the Colts or traded from the Colts. He played for the Eagles. Not Nick Foles. It's bugging me. But yeah, so I really do like Philadelphia winning this game a lot. 10.5 point favorites. I don't like the spread. Keep it under 10.5. Have Washington cover it. And that's the matchups for this week. I do like, these are my games of the week. Watch Minnesota and Buffalo. Buffalo might cover the spread. I say they don't. But Minnesota and Buffalo is just going to be a hell of a game. They're going to be going back and forth. I think Kirk Cousins is going to go off. Justin Jefferson is going to make a statement as the best receiver in the league on this game. Him and Stephon Diggs are going to go back and forth. It's going to be very, very interesting. Next game, look for Tua. If you're going to make a bet on him, look for him to pass over 300 yards. He does great against the Browns in his career. And especially, he does really good under pressure with Myles Garrett is going to give him a lot of. And then my second favorite game of the week, Tampa Bay versus Seattle. I have Tampa Bay cover the spread. They're winning this game. As great as Geno Smith has been, I know I've been going on him a lot because a lot of people say that I haven't been giving him enough love, but he's been doing great. DK Metcalf is having a Pro Bowl year. Tyler Lockett's having a Pro Bowl year. Charles Cross was the rookie they picked out in the first round this year. he's been doing phenomenal for that offensive line. He jumped their offensive line ranking from 27th all the way up to 19th, 8 spots almost single-handedly in a handful of games. But Tom Brady will not be stopped. His life is going into shambles, and the only thing he has holding on right now is football. So I guarantee you, this man is about to be a bad, bad man and start tearing up some defenses. And you remember the Tom Brady from 2018 when he was dicing everyone up? It's going to come back. He's not going to have the same record. He's not going to have the same team, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this guy finishes out this game.
1 minute.
And I want to see how he finishes out this season. So thank you, everyone, for listening to Steer the Line on the KMET 1490 AM portion of this video. If you want to hear more about Odell Beckham Jr. and his possible landing spots, and I'm going to do a deep dive into Geno Smith, and we're going to do a recap of our picks of this week again. Make sure to watch us on Steer the Line. That's STEER, The Line, on YouTube. Thank you guys very much for listening, and I hope to see you again next week. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to KMET 1490 AM. Now we're on YouTube, so I can say whatever the heck I want, but I will keep it clean. As I said before, I'm going to jump into Odell Beckham Jr., who has been finally cleared to play football. He's cleared. The doctor said he can play. He has everything all set. His knee's no longer bothering him. He's already running routes on the field, but he still remains to be a free agent. And I feel like it's a topic I say almost every week, but OBJ is a huge, huge game changer for guys who are looking to chase that Lombardi trophy. We all know he can the numbers he can produce, the talent factor he is. Everyone remembers the one-handed catch. That's what got me into football growing up. And especially as a number one option, he will get you those numbers. But I think he's at that point in his career where if he's the number one option on your team, I don't think you're a Super Bowl caliber team. But what do I know? Because this man was about a march to that Super Bowl MVP before he got hurt. So I might be wrong. But I think it's going to be an insane sweepstakes, whoever gets this guy. I'm going to read off some of his numbers, and then you're going to see how great this guy's going to be. With 8 games as a Ram, he gave us 537 yards, 5 touchdowns, 44 receptions on 56.3% catching rate. That's an insane stat line for only 8 games, and he only started in 7 of those. And that's not even talking about his playoff stat. In the playoffs, he was a different breed. He was an animal. He said it himself that he just went into that Mamba mentality mode and came out. In 4 games, he neared 300 yards. That's 288 to be exact, with an average of 72 yards per game and 2 touchdowns, with an insane 80.8% catching percentage. That is top 5 in playoff history. A lot of people glanced over that last season and saw how amazing Cooper Kupp's year was. OBJ had one of the best playoff performances by a receiver in history. I know it's not a lot of yards. I know it's not a lot of touchdowns, but 80.8 catch percentage is insane to me. And he's going to be a free agent. Well, he's already a free agent, but someone's going to sign him soon. And according to Sports Track market value calculations, OBJ is projected to contain a contract that pays him around $13.1 million annually. And he wants a 2-year deal, which equals out to about $26.2 million contract with most likely a very generous signing bonus. I'm not going to say an exact number because there's no way you can project a signing bonus. But I'd be really, really interested to see what team he falls into. About half the league is offering OBJ a contract. You see all over Twitter, the Rams, the Bucks, the Bills, all these big teams who want OBJ. But these are the guys these are the teams I would like to see. And I'm going to start off with his hometown team, or the team that drafted him at least. The New York Giants. They've been a surprising team that's been overperforming their expectations by far. No one expected them to have a winning record. They're in contention for a playoff spot halfway through the season. I'm very impressed with Daniel Jones. I'm very impressed with Saquon Barkley. He's been a dog. He's been a beast tearing up those defensive lines. And Odell's very familiar with this organization, but you have to remember that he left the team on not the best terms. He demanded a trade out of there, but that was mainly due to the relationship he had between him and Eli Manning, which I want to see how that goes out. But um, I want to see if him and the front office have any tension since that trade happened. If not, it's going to be a great deal for New York. They're going to be paying a guy that they weren't willing to pay about 5 years ago, which I think is kind of funny. But if he comes to New York, it's going to give him some veteran leadership to a really young team who's looking to wet their feet into a playoff for the first time in a while. And now, do I think him single-handedly can bring this team a Super Bowl? No, of course not. But do I think the front offices and the GMs at New York Giants, do I think they believe that? Of course. I think they're a little delusional to think of that. But I do like the Giants a lot with OBJ. It seems like a good fit. It's full circle. It's a great way for him to end his career. If he plans on retiring, he goes back to New York, the team that drafted him, and where he became a superstar. Now, another team I really want to see is the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady and the Bucks have had nothing short of a poor start to the season. But with that win last week, I think that really did save their season. Their trajectory is it's looking up. I think they're going to be better than they are right now. I'm not going to say one of the best teams, but they're going to be a lot better than they are right now because I can see in Tom Brady's eyes, Mike Evans is tired of losing, Chris Godwin's tired of losing, Julio Jones, all these guys are tired. And I think they're going to call up some big white boy to get him over the middle. I don't know, something with Gronk in it. But align it with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, and then adding OBJ to that makes him the best receiving crew in the league. I don't care what a lot of people say. Mike Evans is a top 10 receiver, and he's the perfect fit next to OBJ. He's a deep threat who's super physical, super big, and he's willing to get dirty, and he loves those contested jump balls. He does great with it. OBJ is going to be great over the middle, getting on those curls, on those hooks. And then in the flat, a lot of people don't know, but he averages more yards behind the line of scrimmage than he does in front of the line of scrimmage on snap plays. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Chris Godwin's another physical guy that will be right next to him. So I love that lineup if OBJ comes there. And with Tom Brady looking like it might be nearing the end, the older he gets, the better he plays. But he's just been not there. He might look like he's on the last of his legs. This could be a push for the Bucks, not just to make the playoffs, but to win another championship. And here's another team I really like. The Minnesota Vikings have just been the best team in the NFC. I think they are better than the Eagles just because of their schedules. But the Vikings are just storming through the NFC with only one loss in the season so far. They have, not arguably, I put it in my notes, arguably, but this guy is the undisputed best receiver in football, Justin Jefferson. And now they have a Pro Bowl caliber tight end with TJ Hawkinson. So OBJ would kill defense alongside these guys. Justin Jefferson's another perfect fit next to OBJ. It's a guy who could go deep, go on the slant. He can do it all. And OBJ is great with his hands. He's great on the corners, on the edges. So I really want to see. And then TJ Hawkinson's just a physical dude. So it's going to be really, really fun to see if they go to that team. The Buffalo Bills are another team I really want to see. It's kind of not necessary for them to get them, but if they get them, it's just over. I don't care what you say. I don't care if the numbers are wrong. I don't care if it's a great fit. OBJ with Stephon Diggs and all those other guys and Josh Allen and that defense they have, it's going to be really, really tough for them to to not win a Super Bowl with that team. So I would be so excited if OBJ went there, outside of the fact that he's not a Ram. But the other team I do want to talk about is the Los Angeles Rams. Rams and the OBJ have been going back and forth all season long. Whether he's going to stay or not or re-sign is the better wording. Even players have been begging him or asking him on press conferences and in interviews to come back. OBJ, we're missing him out. OBJ, come on back. Even Cooper Kupp was teasing us on his Instagram with a photo of OBJ and a cryptic message saying almost done, kind of teasing that they're finalizing a deal for him. If he goes to the Rams, it will be very, very, great for them. Les Snead says he's really confident on working something out to bring OBJ back home, quote unquote. And if OBJ reunites with the Rams, it would be a lot quicker of a transition back into the game because he already knows that offense around him. He's already familiar with his teammates, and that's a thing that a lot of people don't take into accountability. If you're lined up with a guy next to you and you don't know the pattern he's going to do, or you don't know the way he does his footwork or his tempo, you guys are going to either bump into each other, interlock, or it's going to confuse your quarterback on which route you guys are running. It's really important to know the tempo of your teammates around you. And OBJ is already familiar with the majority of these guys: Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Higbee, Stafford. The only one he's not familiar with, I believe, is Allen Robinson, at least on the offensive side. So it's going to be a lot easier transition for him to come back into the game of football with the Rams. And for the Rams, this could be the last chance they have to save their season if there's any hope. They need to start winning games now. And I'm talking about not now, like yesterday now. They should have won that game against the Bucs. They shouldn't be a sub 500 team, but they are. That's the situation they're in right now. So they need to nut up, sign this guy, get your offense back, and if Matthew Stafford's hurt, sit him out. Figure out a backup situation right now, because Matthew Stafford hurt is obviously not working anymore unless you're confident in him coming back into groove with that injury. But we'll see. And now I've been waiting to talk about this for a while. Singletary or Hines? I say Singletary. I love Singletary. But this is one thing I've been wanting to talk about for a second. Geno, I ain't right back Smith.
Yeah. They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. That's the problem. I ain't right back. Let's go.
And right back you did not, my friend. Oh, my goodness. What a season you've been having. Wow, Geno Smith is playing so damn well. A lot of people wrote him out, and like he said, he has not ridden back yet. I love saying that. That's been my motto all year long. It's been really fun. He's been tearing up the league with a league-leading 73.1 completion percentage, 2,199 yards, and 15 touchdowns on the season. And he's not on pace to just having a good season, or a great season, or even a Pro Bowl season. He's on pace to having one of the most efficient seasons in NFL history. Now, with projected stats, which is basically a form of sabermetrics where they confirm the defense he's playing, the defensive rating, his offensive rating, weather projections if they can go in that deep, and all the accountabilities and factors to project the amount of passes he's going to do, the amount of yards he's going to throw for, and the percentages he's going to throw. According to that formula, he will finish this season with a 71.9% throwing completion percentage, which makes him the fourth most efficient quarterback in a single season, behind Drew Brees, and Drew Brees. Drew Brees had the top three most efficient seasons as a quarterback. Geno Smith is on pace to be the second quarterback with the most efficiency and the fourth most efficient season of all time. I haven't been giving him the love he deserves. I did the research today. This brother has been playing. Oh my goodness, he's been that dude. Behind Drew Brees, like I said, if Geno Smith continues to play like this he does all season, he'll finish top 5 in MVP voting. Now, he hasn't just been doing this alone. Like I said earlier in the episode, Charles Cross has been bulking up that offensive line from the start. He's just been giving Geno so much more time. He's one of the big reasons why he's their blindside tackle, first of all. He's one of the reasons why Geno Smith is only getting sacked at a league low 6.9% of the time. That's an amazing number. It's insane to think about. That's like video game kind numbers. And DK Metcalf has been tearing it up. He's top 5 on one-on-one matchups amongst receivers and top 10 cornerbacks. So it's really interesting to see how he works. He's been cooking my boy, Jalen Ramsey, almost his entire career as a Ram. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they match up in a few weeks. But with Geno Smith hitting free agency this offseason, which team's going to pay him, which team's not? I really want to see if Geno gets a payday from someone or not. But that's all the things I have. I'm going to do a quick recap of the NFL odds and the betting lines, and then we're going to head out of here. As I said in the beginning of the episode, we have Seattle versus Tampa Bay. I really do love this game. As great as Geno Smith has been playing, I have Tampa marching through this game. Tom Brady's on a mission, and he's going to kill. That's a murderer, and he's going to kill your defense. I really do love the fact that Tom Brady, everyone's kind of doubting on him now. It gives him a little spot to be an underdog for a short time in his career. And Tom Brady, when he's an underdog, he always does better. The Houston Texans go to New York to play the Giants. Like I said before, I love the Giants in this game. Saquon's going to run for over 100 yards. Daniel Dimes, I think he doesn't throw a single interception this entire game. It's going to be really interesting to see how this game turns out. Denver Broncos and Tennessee Titans. This is a really close matchup, in my opinion. I still think Denver loses this game, and Tennessee covers the spread, which is 2.5 points in their favor. Now, Derrick Henry hasn't been having the best season, neither has Ryan Tannehill, but I can guarantee you it hasn't been as bad as a season as Russell Wilson's had. It feels like the entire NFL has turned their back on him and kind of disowned him. He's been this corny dude that no one really likes, but I feel like that energy would be so great in a different sport, like in baseball. He would be the perfect, role model for a baseball player. So Tennessee minus 2.5. The Detroit Lions play the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Chicago's a 3-point favorite, -3. I don't like them in this game at all. Detroit is one of the highest rated offenses in the NFL. I know they're a terrible defense, but even with the acquirement of Chase Claypool, I don't trust Justin Fields. He's just going to be a guy who's not that good anymore, in my opinion. I think he's a bust already. I know it's really early to say he's a rookie, but I like Detroit in this game a lot. Jared Goff's going to go off. That running back they have, that rookie running back whose name is slipping me, I apologize. But Detroit covering the 3-point spread, taking the over on 48.5, demolishing these guys. And then Cleveland goes to Miami, where they play the favored Dolphins by 3.5 points. I really do love Miami in this game. Tua showed that he still has that fight in him. He still has that dog in him. And he's just not going to let anyone take this chance away from him. I think this is their best year to win a championship, in my opinion. And if they can get past the Bills in the playoffs, I'm really excited to see if that can happen. I know it's really, really early to talk about playoffs. It's like way down the line. We have another half season. But I'm very interested to see if these guys can win it out. But Miami, as of so far right now, Miami minus 3.5, covering the spread and beating Cleveland in Miami. And this is going to be the best game of the week, Minnesota versus Buffalo. Buffalo's minus 3 points. I still think they cover the spread. Barely. If you don't want to take my advice in this game, I wouldn't doubt you because it's going to be such a close game. Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs are going to be going back and forth all game long. I think that game's going to decide who the best receiver in football is. Josh Allen surpasses Kirk Cousins by far. He's the much better quarterback. He's the much better player. If Minnesota wants to win this game, or at least give the Bills a really, really tough run for their money, it's going to be interesting. Have someone coming up. I really do like Minnesota in this game a lot, so we'll see how this turns out. But Buffalo, to be clear, Buffalo minus 3, covering the spread. Minnesota's going to give a run for their money, though. Jacksonville goes to Arrowhead Stadium, play the Kansas City Chiefs. Minus 5.5, 9.5 points. I like the Chiefs in this game a lot. I don't think they don't win this game. I think they're just going to store.
Why does he not see me?
Hello?
Hey, Christian.
Yeah?
Do you see me or do you just hear me?
I just hear you.
Oh, that's so weird. I wonder why my camera isn't working. Well, I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah, sorry. You can't see me, but I am here. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
Sorry about that, buddy. You got stuck doing the whole show by yourself.
I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job since you've been gone.
Alan's been listening to the whole show, my driver, and he says you're doing great.
Great. Yeah, I was just going through the betting lines just now. What do you think, Jacksonville and Kansas City? Kansas City minus 9.5 points.
Well, I'm going to do this a little bit differently.
Go ahead.
because I have 3 games that I'm really focused on, and we're short in time, and I may lose the signal once we cross over the river into Washington State from Oregon, where I just landed in Portland. So here's the deal. Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys, yes.
Dallas Cowboys at Green Bay. Green Bay sucked. Dallas is getting healthier. Dallas has a great defense. They have a good pass rush. And there's a revenge factor here in that Green Bay has knocked Dallas out of the playoffs a number of times. That line, I believe, is 4.5, 5. I love Dallas against Green Bay here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I had Dallas winning this game. I said Micah Parsons is going to go off in this game. Yeah, Dallas winning by far.
Hey, Christian, what was the fantasy football question I missed?
It was Kenyon Drake or Gus Edwards. Which one should he hold on to?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one because neither one is, like, really great.
Yeah.
Where's Kenyon Drake now?
I can't remember, so I said Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean to the team that has the better offense in general, and I think that's Baltimore.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, another game that I love, the 49ers are -7 against the Chargers.
Yes.
Can you check, double check, is that game in San Francisco?
It's in San Francisco.
Okay. The 49ers are going to crush the Chargers. They have had more time to work in McCaffrey. They have a much better defense. Now, I know they lost the corner for the season, but they're getting healthier in other spots. Their defense is really good. The Chargers' defense gives up a lot of points, and I just love the play here on the 49ers at home, extra rest, more time to get McCaffrey in the offense. I think the 49ers are going to blow the Chargers off the field.
I disagreed on that take. I said that the Chargers would be winning that game. I said they wouldn't cover they would be covering the spread, winning it. I think the only reason I said that is because I'm a Rams fan, and by DNA, I have to hate on the Niners. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say the Chargers.
Okay, and the other one that I really love, Denver, who is absolutely terrible, has the Titans. The Titans have been playing great. Their defense has been getting better as the season's been going on. Their offense has been getting better as the season's going on. Now, last couple weeks, not a lot of scoring because they've had the rookie in. I believe they're going to get Tannehill back. And even if they don't, Denver is not going to stay with Tennessee. Tennessee is going to win that game.
They're playing
3 points is not a lot. That's my third pick of this weekend that I really like is the Tennessee Titans -3 against the sputtering Denver Broncos.
Tennessee Titans, yeah, I had the same game, but they're going to be starting Malik Willis. Malik Willis is starting that game.
Well,
Tannehill's not playing.
Whether they start Tannehill or Willis, I like the Titans in that game. Denver
I completely
just
agree
bad.
because I completely agree with that take because Denver is the worst team in the NFL with red zone completion, red zone rushing touchdowns, and red zone efficiency.
Yeah, they're the worst red zone offense in the NFL
by far, which is insane.
Oh, and by the way, Tennessee is one of the best. Tennessee gets 70% of the time they're in the red zone.
Well, when you have Derrick Henry, it's really hard not to score a 2-yard field goal or a 2-yard touchdown. You know, it's really hard. But yeah, I have Tennessee win that game by far. I don't trust Denver, especially with their offense, with their head coach.
I rudely interrupted your show tonight, so sorry about that.
No problem, boss. Yeah, but going back down the list, we had Tennessee. I had Jacksonville and Kansas City. I have Kansas City storming through them, covering the 9.5-point spread. I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a great quarterback. I just don't think he has enough offensive weapons to face off the Chiefs and survive. That's the truth. And then the one game I really did want to stay away from is the New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have been watching these two guys a lot, enough to be, efficient with them on my picking advice. But just to win out the game, no covers, no spread, I have the New Orleans Saints winning this game.
I don't know what the money line is, but I'd agree with you. I like New Orleans to win this game. Oh, a great point that one of my other prognosticators, David, at Winners and Winers, brought up to me. He told me the Buffalo line is down to -3. Buffalo -3 at the Vikings. Is that right?
-3, yeah.
Okay. Buffalo's defense is really good.
Yeah.
Case Keenum is not a terrible quarterback.
Case Keenum.
Isn't that the backup?
Oh, yeah.
For the Bills. Right? Yeah. So even if Allen doesn't play, you have an experienced, capable backup who's going to be able to operate the offense. He doesn't have the arm that Allen has. He doesn't have the rushing ability that Allen has. But he can distribute the ball and competently run the offense. And the other thing that I think is going to happen, I think a lot of the time the Buffalo Bills are kind of standing around going, well, when's Josh going to win the game for us? When's Josh going to get that first down? What's Josh going to do next? And with him not there, I think everybody else is going to pick up their game. I think 3 points is not enough. I love the Bills without Allen to win by more than 3.
Yeah, I still like the Bills winning this game. I'm just gonna say, Minnesota's no pushover. They're gonna give them a run for their money. It's a small spread, so I'm gonna have Buffalo winning this game and covering the spread. But dang, they have T.J. Hawkinson. They have Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in football, and they might be getting OBJ by the end of the week. So we'll see.
How much better is Kirk Cousins than Case Keenum?
He's a better quarterback. I wouldn't say by far, but he's a much better quarterback in Case Keenum.
By a factor of what?
He's double the quarterback Case Keenum is. Case Keenum could be starting in a terrible poverty franchise, but I do like Kirk Cousins, especially this season for what he's getting paid for. His efficiency's been great. He's been throwing a lot of yards. His touchdown rating has been one of the best in the league. So I like Kirk Cousins. I don't say he's the best quarterback in the league by far. I'm not even gonna say he's top 20, but he's much better than.
Look, no, I don't hate Kirk Cousins. I'm just saying. I'm just saying Case Keenum to be a 6 NFL quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is 7.5. It's not like Case Keenum is a 3 and Kirk Cousins is a 10.
I feel you.
All right, man. I'm going to lose the signal here. I'm going to let you close it out.
All right. Later, boss. All righty. So, before I was so rudely interrupted by Mr. Loud Esmond coming in, ruining my show. We were on the betting lines. I had San Francisco, Minnesota. Oh, yeah. Pittsburgh, New Orleans. I want to stay away from it. Not the most studied game. So I'm sorry for that. But New Orleans just winning the game. No coverage, no spreads. Indianapolis Colts go to Vegas. I have to start listening to Loud when it comes to the Raiders because he's a Raiders fan. He knows them by heart. So I'm going to pick the Colts on this game. Even though I do like Devontae and Derek Carr, I'm just waiting for their game to where they click and they just go off. Do I think it's going to be this game? No. Like I said before, Max Crosby and Chandler Jones are going to have a field day because Matt Ryan fumbles the ball more than anyone in the league. He's just been terrible this season about it. A lot of people are speculating that's due to arthritis growing in his throwing hand. There's some pictures of him on the sideline where his hand's a little stuck and he's trying to pull on his fingers. So there's a lot of speculation that his career might be over just because he has arthritis in his hand, which I didn't find out until last night, which baffled me. The Los Angeles Rams play the Arizona Cardinals. I have the Rams win this game in SoFi. I wouldn't say by a large margin, but they definitely covered that spread. And Aaron Donald's going to have a sack or two at least. He's never had under 2 sacks in his career against the Cardinals, which is a crazy thing to say if you really think about it. A defensive tackle having 2 sacks against a franchise in every single game. It's very impressive. Micah Parsons against the Green Bay Packers. I love Micah Parsons. That's what the Cowboys are at this point. I think Dak Prescott is still going to win this game. I would much rather have Cooper Rush in there, but that's just me. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been that dude, like I said before. Bang. The Chargers go to San Francisco. San Francisco's a favorite. I don't care if San Francisco is favored by 30. I won't pick them. They're the Niners. I have to hate on them by default, unless Tom Brady goes there or Alex Smith gets his job back. But yeah, I still like the Chargers covering the spread. They might not win it. I hope they win it, but I like the Chargers covering the spread just because of their defense. And Philadelphia versus the Commanders, minus 10.5 Philadelphia. As much as I hate double point deficits, I still hate it. I'm not going near it. I like them winning this game. Do they cover the spread? It's a coin flip in my opinion. They can or they won't. It's either Taylor Heineke has a great game or he sucks. There's no in between. But that's it for this week on Steer the Line. Thank you everyone for listening to this week's segment of Steer the Line on the second half hour on YouTube. Make sure to catch us again next week on KMET 1490 AM and here on YouTube at Steer the Line. That's STER the Line. And if you want more betting advice from Loud Esmond himself, you can go to our betting website at steertheline.com. That's STEER theline.com. Thank you guys for listening very much, and we'll see you next week.